Hello and welcome back to a brand new video on the Blackago YouTube channel. If this is your first time watching, hi, I'm Blackago, also known as BP, and in today's video I'll be going ahead and explaining to you the 5 things I want to see in Generation 9 / Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions. Now, before we get into this, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date when new videos come out. Make sure you leave a like on the video because you know your support is greatly appreciated, and while you're at it, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the video and the 5 things you want to see in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions. But with that all out of the way, let's get into the 5 things I want to see in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions. Up first, one of the things I want to see in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions is Day 1 Pokemon Home integration. Now, what I mean by this is that we have access to the previous generations of Pokemon games of Pokemon we've caught, because in previous games, like let's say from Generation 6 onwards, we didn't really get access to our previous Pokemon from past generations till like let's say February of the following year, which is around a 3 or 4 month like time period, which is quite long, isn't it? And I just want to be able to access our Pokemon from the get-go. I know that we had access from the get-go in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but I'm not sure with other generations. But I'm not sure with any of the other games, mainly Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because I feel like we had Day 1 integration with that, but I'm not 100% set on that. But yeah, because I just want Day 1 integration, because with previous generations from like let's say between, I guess let's say 3 to 5, we could access the Pokemon from previous generation. 4 and 5, we had access to Pokemon from the previous generations, but all we had to do was just essentially beat the post game, and we could go to like this little park or thing or whatever, have like a little mini game where we just like catch our Pokemon from previous games or whatever, or something of the like, where we just go around and like, or just something like simple as pull Pokemon from home or whatever and put them into game or whatever. Basically, I just want Day 1 Pokemon Home integration and not have to wait for like 3 or 4 months till we have access to our previous Pokemon, because that's a little bit jarring if I do say so myself. But for number 5, I just want Day 1 Pokemon Home integration. Now, another thing I want for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions is that whatever new mechanic we get in this generation, that is given to the starters from the very start, and more trainers are given access to it. Now, in Generations 6, 7, and 8, we've gotten Mega Evolution, Z-Moves, and Dynamax / Gigantamax. And in terms of Mega Evolutions, none of the Generation 6 starters got Mega Evolutions. The closest things we got is Ash Greninja, but that wasn't until Generation 7, and even then that was just Greninja alone and not Chestnut or Delphox. But although we did get Generation 3 starters with Mega Evolution, but I feel like that was mainly because Blaziken got its own Mega Evolution, and I feel like to just leave just give Blaziken its own Mega Evolution and to leave Swampert and Sceptile out was just kind of whack. And it was whack that they left Greninja in, that they only gave Greninja a new form in Generation 6, but no, not 6, 7. But yeah, and also in terms of trainers, because in Generation 6, not including, I'm just gonna flat out say not including remix, because that just makes things much more simpler. The only trainers that really had Mega Evolutions was Diantha, the champion, Lysander, the main boss, like villain boss of the game, and that was the very last battle with him, he had it. And then Sycamore, but I'm not 100% sure if Sycamore did have Mega Evolutions. Like, they didn't even give the Elite 4 members Mega Evolutions, which is just whack, because the Elite 4 are supposed to be some of the most powerful trainers inside the region. How are you just going to have some of the most powerful trainers in the region, but not give them access to this, like, broken new ability. Now, they did do a good job with Z moves and giving them to trainers in Generation 7. I'm not sure if there were any trainers that had them outside of the not gym leaders, the trial captains and kahunas. There was the Elite Four, or what's the name, Gladion, and I can't really think of anyone else that had access to Z moves in the game. But Generation 7 did a pretty good job, although I feel like that was more or less the quantity of important characters and not necessarily just normal trainers. But with Generation 8, not every trainer used Dynamax/Gigantamax. Now, the trainers that did use it were pretty much just the gym leaders, Leon, and then Rose and his assistant. I'm not going to include the DLCs, but if we did include them, then Mustard and Mustard's wife. And Clara or Avery, depending on which games you had. But other than that, there weren't really many other trainers that had access to the mechanic. And also with the ability to use the mechanic anywhere, because we pretty much were restricted to using Dynamax/Gigantamax within stadiums, the battle towers or wherever, and Mustard's like dojo field thingy. And I felt like that kind of just made the mechanic boring in a sense, and just not really that fun at all, since we couldn't really use it to its fullest potential. And then to also give us whatever new mechanics to start, as I mentioned before, because a point that I forgot to mention is that the Generation 8 stars, they did get access to Gigantamax for us, but that wasn't until the following year when the DLCs came out, i.e. the Iron Armor. But yeah, for the number 4 slot, I just want whatever new mechanic they get, that the stars happen from the very start, and that they give more train access to said mechanic. Now, coming in at the number 3 spot, we technically have two things, both being a somewhat big post game and a somewhat more fulfilling story. And what I mean by this is, let's take Sword and Shield for example. The story was pretty meh. Like, there wasn't really much special flair to it. It could have used a little bit more to it. And then the post game, there was practically nothing to do. There was that little story with Shilbert and Sora, or whatever their names are, but that wasn't really good at all. That was just completely shit. However, they did improve the story with the DLCs that had their own little stories integrated in them. But that's the DLC, something you buy or to add on to the game. Like, the DLC is sort of more of a post game to Sword and Shield than actual post game was. And we didn't have really that much to do outside of that little story, apart from just doing raids and completing the Pokedex. Which, don't get me wrong, raids are fun, but just access to like one single thing to do, it's just not that fun at all. And what with the DLCs, with the Island Armor and Crown Tundra, the Crown Tundra gave us access to max raid battles, which essentially allowed us to, go around and hunt down legendary Pokemon in these like raid battles, and all this gives the Galarian Star Tournament, which I personally think is a much better version of rebattling the league, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, for the number 3 slot, I just want a somewhat fulfilling story and somewhat big post game. Thing I want for Generation 9 / Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet version is that we have access to the previous game mechanics, whether they lock the mechanics behind like the post game or a certain level of the post game, and we just have to access like be a battle tree or something, and then like we could just like buy Z crystals, or some guy gives us access to all the Z crystals and mega stones, or whatever, however they want to do it, just access to the previous game mechanics. I'm not sure how they're going to integrate Dynamax, since the way how they handled Dynamax and Gigantamax was a little complicated in Generations A. But whatever they do, just to integrate previous mechanics in Generation 9. They don't have to include them in Wi-Fi battles or whatever. They can just restrict it to whatever new mechanic it is, and then just like ban previous mechanics, or however they want to do it. Whatever they will do, I just want to have access to the previous mechanics. Because Mega Evolving in like a battle tree or something would be cool. And then using the Z move and then doing a Dynamax, it would just be cool. Now, the most important thing I want for Generation 9, aka Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions, is that we have access to the full national Pokedex. Now, they don't have to necessarily make a Pokedex that includes all 1,000 or so Pokemon, because they're pretty much going to be like 1,000 or so Pokemon when Generation 9 comes out. I just want to be able to like access my previous Pokemon in the game. Like, let's say they have like a set regional dex of 400. I want to be able to access Pokemon from all generations without restriction in the game. Like, just have them in the file, but not necessarily in the Pokedex. Like, they don't even have to be catchable in the game. Just have them like physically in the game, because the Pokemon Company can do it. It's just, I don't know why they didn't do it with Sword and Shield. And then still some Pokemon like they did add the DLCs, which added more Pokemon to be able to use, but not every Pokemon was able to use. Like Greninja, for example, the last generation we were able to use Greninja in was Generation 6 in Ultra Sun and Moon, which came out in 2017, which was about 5 years ago. Which was around 5 years ago, I'm correct. That's 5 years since we were last able to use Greninja. Come on, Game Freak, step up your game. Like, whether, like, I just want to be able to use Greninja again or something like that. Now, considering that Game Freak was split into like 2 teams essentially, like one team were working on like Scarlet version and Pokemon Violet, and the other team was like working on Legends Arceus. Now, maybe we do have access to previous generations of Pokemon, like all of them, but I just want to save faces by saying I just want them to be accessible. Like, give us the name Game Freak. We know you can, because it broke my heart that I wasn't able to use my little boy Victini and Sword and Shield until like the Crown Tundra came out, if I'm correct. But there are still some Pokemon that I love near and dear to me that I couldn't use in the Sword and Shield at all, even with the DLCs. I don't know, and not even in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which gave us access to the Pokemon from like the Kanto region to Sinnoh region. But that's all. But yeah. Now, that's all that I have to say for the 5 things I want in Generation 9 such Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. But if you have your own opinions or other things you want to see in Generation 9, let me know what you think as well. Because whatever you tell me, I would want to know. I want to know what else. Are there any things that I missed in this video that are important? Or there are some things that I included that you don't think? Let me know, because your support is greatly appreciated. Leave a like, let me know you agree with my opinions. Leave a dislike if you don't agree with my opinion, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date when new videos come out. But with that all being said, I would just like to say thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video soon, which should be episode 23 of Pokemon Legends Arceus, which should come out at around 6 p.m. British time tomorrow. Last thing I want to mention, I will be playing these games day 1 when they come out on the channel. So if you're excited for that, subscribe, and when they come out in fall or later this year, you'll be able to watch the videos as we go. But I'd just like to say thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video soon. Bye!